one of my friends, she was working in the events industry already, and she was like, yo, my company is looking for a salesperson. Why don't you join?
I mean, then opportunity knocked and you took it.
Right? It wasn't because of like, I had this grand vision. No. It was all about making a living. I just took it randomly. And to be honest with you, like when you say event sales, I went into the job with zero idea what that meant.
Welcome to Bay Show. I'm Sahib, and today I can say that we have a very controversial guest because this man is someone that everyone in the space, or at least in Southeast Asia, must know. If you don't already know, because the name Arc is almost a household name that every builder we see, degen in Web3 must know. So guys, without any further ado, I have a friend, a brother, and the deputy CEO of Arc, the community, the cabal of Southeast Asia. Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you very much. This is probably the best introduction anybody has done. I'm actually going to steal that and everything.
And bro, this is super candid just now.
No, but seriously, this is one of the best introductions anybody has given. And okay, to be fair to anybody that's listening, I'm not famous and everything like that. It's just so happened that a couple of people know me and that's it. I'm not an opinion leader.
A couple of the right people, actually.
That's because, I think we're going to come to that. That's also because, I've been in the space for a while already, and that's why people kind of know the name and everything like that. But yeah, I think people have different opinions on what the name means and everything.
Well, I mean, full disclaimer, by the way, guys. I am a very proud member of Arc.
One of the first, actually.
One of the first few as well.
First in Thailand.
Yes, first in Thailand. But I'm going to pretend like I know absolutely nothing about Arc. Okay. And maybe there's some questions that I actually want to know about Arc.
Sure.
But today's actually more about Gabe and then Arc, and then I just want to prick your brains from the whole journey you have from Web 2 to Web 3, because personally I know you back in the days when I was building my Web 2 company, Sixter, and then you were actually doing something that you still do today, which is host the biggest and the most flamboyant parties and events.
Ooh.
Not the parties where you see all the...
Are you talking about the after parties we used to do in Bangkok, or are we talking about something else?
But Gabe, what's your journey back in the Web 2 days? And then how did we transition to Web 3?
I think for context, and this is something a lot of people don't know, I'm not exactly a builder. I think people like you, or even some of the people around us, you guys are fantastic at building. You guys have an idea, you guys execute. I mean, not just you, right? We look at some of our mutual friends. You look at Pimu, Pikak, just or even Dong, Boy, etc. A lot of these people, I think you guys are builders, right? And I think I would never dare to call myself a builder. Right?
Okay.
I would never dare to call myself. Like, you guys having the ability to sit down, manage a project, build a startup, scale it, raise money, everything like that. I never really found interest in it, right? Like, actually, to be honest, doing it scares the shit out of me, right? However, what I am good at is, I would say, enabling and creating platforms. And obviously, this is me looking back at it. At a point of time, it never occurred to me. I never really sat down in front of the mirror and okay, what am I good at?
Yeah.
What exactly can I do? No, it was never like that. To answer your question, and the very simple answer, and happy to expand on whichever part you want, I did not go to college. I think that's the first thing a lot of people don't know. And I think I never bothered to talk about it. Like, to me, it's no big deal.
But yeah, this is the stuff that I kind of was more interested about, because I want to know who's Gabe? Like, who is the man with the hat? Right? And who is this guy that's actually hosting and kind of building this community that is now taken this space in the Web3 space, because you're always out there building. I mean, as much as you say you're not building, right, bro? Honestly, you are building. You are building a community.
I'm building relationships.
A relationship, right? You're enabling all these that actually lead to something.
A lot of us do what we do, not just because of passion. I think a lot of us do what we do because once upon a time, you look at me now and okay, Gabe doesn't care. Gabe that can do whatever he wants and everything like that. I think what people tend to forget, right? Because a lot of people were not there at the beginning, right? And when I say the beginning, I'm not even talking about 2010, 2011. That's probably when the whole startup boom happened in this part of the world. I'm talking when I first started working in 2005 or 2006, around there. Right? This was like literally me as a young kid saying that I want to go to college, but I don't want to get in debt. Right? I needed to make a living first so that I could have money to go to college. Right? It wasn't because of like I had this grand vision. No. It was all about making a living. I think people tend to forget that. There's a lot of people with, you hear about people in the tech space, Web 2, Web 1, Web 3, Web whatever. You hear about people with like fantastic ideas and everything. To be honest, a lot of us don't have fantastic ideas. They're probably only like out of every 50 founders, there are like 50,000 of us out there that's just out there making a living. And I was really just out there making a living. But at the same time, when I looked at what I could do, right? And this is probably the first time probably I'm sharing it recorded as well, which is that I came from, in Singapore's education system, we call it a polytechnic, right? It's 3 years. And you get a diploma in whatever, right? I did not, you can take a diploma after I go degree and basically you cut short 1 year. So instead of 3-4 years, you do 2 years and kind of crap and everything like that. I did not enjoy my time. Like, I just did not enjoy. I just did not feel like I was learning anything. Right? Not to mention that I also didn't make very sensible choices with regards to my educational path, right? I basically decided that I would choose not what I wanted to do, but what I didn't mind doing. So for example, right, this was really the 2005 to 2008 gap, which is that instead of looking at like, you always your parents or your seniors or your peers or, YouTube didn't exist back then. What was it? Websites, books, whatever it is, right? What did they tell you? Oh, try different things and, find your passion. That. Like, how do you know? Like, how do you know? Like, if you don't know, if you don't do it, you won't know, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna like be a florist today and be a barista tomorrow? Like, you won't know.
You gotta pay bills, right?
Yeah, you gotta pay bills, right? So this is the pragmatics. Like, people say follow your dream. That's like, follow your dream. That's the biggest BS. Or like when you used to go for job interviews, right? In fact, it's something to jump ahead a little bit I applied to today. I never ever ask people, where do you want to be 3 years from now? Oh, I mean, what's the answer to that?
True.
There is
I want to be in your position.
No, but there's no answer to that. I mean, look, when I was in my 20s, right, you're flabbergasted because you don't have that authority to tell the person like, you know what, I'm not going to answer the stupid question. You have to come up with some bullshit answer. Like, 3 years time, I hope to be, I don't know, contribute more to the business, help the company sales grow by 50% or something like that. It was never like that. Like, come on, man. Anybody who interviews from I don't know, a Siam commercial bank all the way to a McKinsey, anybody who comes and says that, you're fucking lying because you just want the job.
Yeah, true.
That's it.
100%.
That's what it is, right? So I think for me at a point of time, it was really making a living. And I made a list of things I did not want to do.
Which were?
Banking. And banking, an office job, and what else was there?
Working with diplomats.
Yeah, working with diplomats, anything to do. I mean, then again, like, honestly, I didn't go to college, so, that would have been an impossible career
So
route.
what did you do actually?
I was moonlighting, right? Between my national service and deciding what to do, I was moonlighting in the events industry. So now, you look at this. So for example, now in Bangkok, right, you got tax laws happening, everything. You got all these event volunteers, all these part-timers. So that I was doing because it was money in hand, right? You get paid $50 on the spot. So whatever it was, if it was setting up, it was hanging banners, it was being an usher, it was being involved in a carnival, if it was whatever it was, right? It was literally $50 Singapore dollars, cash in hand every time, right? And if you're 22, $50 is a lot of money, right? That's equivalent of like, I think 1,500 baht, 1,200 baht in today's context and everything, like basically for every day you work, right? And I was like, wait a minute, this is an industry that, so I had that and I had two other options at that point of time, right? Because again, you don't have connections, you don't have the experience and everything.
Yep.
So based on the very low-level networks I had in my 20s, I was done 3 jobs. One was to be join the events industry. The second one was to go work for a Sincere or Hourglass, which is a luxury watch seller.
Right.
So basically, you work retail.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, because one of my friends was working there and he was like, look, you seem to be able to talk a lot of shit. Why don't you sell Rolexes to
You
people?
still do that very well today?
Yeah, but like at the point of time, it's like, look, at the point of time, right, if you tell a kid, right, $1,500 base salary, right, plus a monthly commission.
Dude, that's like 1 Bitcoin today, man.
Yeah, exactly, right? And you'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, right? So that was an option. The third option was to be a car salesman, right? So Singapore is a very big secondary market for cars, or secondhand sales and everything, right? And all these jobs require near zero educational qualifications, right? Like why? If you have a degree in neuroscience, it doesn't matter.
Just you need to talk good shit.
Correct, talk good shit, right? And these are jobs which are what I would call like the real merit-based jobs.
Yeah.
Meaning that the better you do, the more successful you become.
Correct.
So those were the things that I was thinking about. However, I was also thinking like, okay, if I were to join the luxury watch industry, for example, what does the future hold? Right? And also, I was in my 20s, right? I'll be like, on the weekends, everybody's going to go out and everything like that. Every freaking weekend, I'll be working. That's like a stupid lifestyle to have.
Yeah.
So one of my friends, who's actually still my friend, we've been friends since I was 17, right? She was working in the events industry already, and she was like, my company is looking for a salesperson. Why don't you join?
Interesting.
And I'm like, yeah. So basically, 2 weeks after I finished my national service, straight into the job, right? But that was also because I needed to make a living.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the opportunity knocked and you took it.
I just took it. I just took it randomly.
Yeah.
Right? I just took it randomly. And to be honest with you, like when you say event sales, I went into the job with zero idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Like, how do you actually get sales? You see, this is pre-Facebook marketing, online marketing and everything.
This is like knock door,
No,
cold.
literally it was. So I was there for 6 months.
Okay.
Right? And that 6 months, I literally was on yellowpages.com, both the website and the physical copy. And I was literally calling companies. Literally, I made like, if I had no meetings, I would make anywhere from 60 to 100 phone calls a day. Different industries, right? Just calling people up.
Yep.
Right?
The hard way.
Yeah, really the hard way. Like, I mean, to be honest, it's you can call it character building, and I wish nobody has to go through that because it's very painful. Like having to emotionally harden yourself for rejection, right? And like getting stringed along. I think rejection is fine. Rejection is somebody just like, I'm not interested, stamp the phone down and everything. I think the most screwed up feeling is being stringed along when people actually give you hope that there's a sales to close,
right? And not follow through.
Yeah, when actually they're just using you. As a price competitor to maybe their regular supplier or something.
And counterbait the other offer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that was that. But you know what's a funny thing? It was because I entered the events industry via that way, and through some mutual clients and everything like that. That's actually how I entered the tech industry. Because if you go back to 2009, 2010 period, right? There were a lot of tech events happening in the US, specifically San Francisco. That was like during that period of time, the birth of TechCrunch and everything that Michael Arrington started. They found out that at a very early stage, you can't make money from media, right? So you needed something to bring people together because, bodies in a room equals revenue, right? However, there was nobody, so a lot of people in the tech space, the startup space, so to speak, as we call it today, a lot of them started to want to do their own events in our part of the world that's relevant to our part of the world. Now, the funny thing is that these people probably at that point of time know content better than me. They probably had better connections than me. Yeah. All these people had zero clue about running events. Zero. Like if you actually think about it, how many people actually look at a floor plan and can tell you instinctively, like, this is 500 square meters, I can put X number of booths, right? Or I can make a stage this big and people should walk this way. No, they had no idea, right? So that's how.
And you're talking about the States, or you're talking about now Southeast Asia now?
Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Southeast Asia. But even in the States as well.
Yeah.
Nobody knew, right? So short version of it, I got offered a job at E27.
Right.
They did not have an events director. In fact, to be honest, we made that We made that up.
Okay.
We really, I mean, like, what the hell is an events director? You're working in a company, or we used to be in an air-conditioned container with like 6 people. What the fuck's an event director? I have no idea. We just flew with it, right? And what happened was that I was able to contribute at a point of time to make the events higher quality. So one of the things which we did, right, and I'm going to use a very boomer name, BlackBerry was a very good example.
Right.
Now, how do you convince BlackBerry at a point of time with a shit ton of budget for marketing in this part of the world? How do you convince them to give you from 10 grand, give you 50 grand? You need to show them quality. Quality of attendance, quality of the events you do, you know, and all this kind of stuff, right? And we basically revamped how the way we do things. We became more professional, and that's how it happened, and that's how it scaled up.
Right.
So that's a very kind of like right place, right time,
Correct.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, because let's just do this and, you know, like whatever. I didn't plan any of that.
Got it. So literally from taking your first random sales events job, you went to like having this opportunity to become events director at E27, which then kind of like brought you into the whole tech world.
It brought me to the whole tech world. It brought me to actually Bangkok. It brought me to Bangkok.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing.
The beginning.
The beginning, no. You think about it, right? And I don't give this enough credit.
Yeah.
When in 2011, right, that was when E27, we raised money, right? It doesn't seem like a lot of money right now, but at a point of time, we raised 500 grand or something. We were trying to expand, and this is a irrelevant story, but I think it's quite interesting. We were very adamant of expanding to Indonesia and Philippines.
Yeah.
Why? I call it the pencil theory. The pencil theory is that if Indonesia has 250 people, if I sell just half the population one pencil, and the interesting thing about that was that we were struggling. We were struggling because all of these Southeast Asia ecosystems, or we call them ecosystems, is not just the capital city. If you look at it, right, the addressable market is actually a lot smaller than the population you think. People talk about mobile adoption at the point of time. Yeah, sure, you've got Jakarta, Malang, Jogja, Bali. You've got, 1,600 islands. Good luck trying to get mass adoption.
Yeah.
And, you know, there wasn't a lot of money at that point of time. One thing we realized is that you had, you know, a lot of banks, a lot of people that were very keen on innovation. But were they willing to put money behind an organization to bring expertise, whether is it from Japan, the US and everything? No, not really.
Right.
Same with the Philippines at that point of time. Like, they were very adamant on doing their own thing, which, all due respect, great. So there wasn't really, we spent a lot of time there, not a lot of opportunities. So the funny thing was that that was when I started coming to Bangkok for the first time, when I was 30 years old, right? So this was 2011.
Yep.
And it wasn't my choice. It was by chance.
Yep.
And it was a cascading effect because it was now my wife's incentive trip, her company incentive trip. They were like, we're doing one in Bangkok.
Yep.
Her ex-boss is actually a friend of mine. And he was like, you've never been to Bangkok, just come along, right? I'm like, okay, why should I go to Bangkok? I know. And I'm going to mention some names that you'll remember. This basically tells us how old we are. The guys from Haba.
Yep.
And Thumbs Up.
Yep.
Reached out.
The OGs.
Yeah, the OGs. They messaged me on Facebook. They're like, hey, I see you're coming to Bangkok. We're doing a startup meetup.
And this is because of the E27 brand.
Yeah, this was them because 2011, they came to our event in Singapore.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, E27 was the shit. I mean,
it was like, to be honest, I would, not to sound arrogant, I would dare say we were probably, for 1 or 2 years, the tech crunch of Southeast Asia.
Before
Tech in Asia and all that kind of, like Tech in Asia was like, they had a bigger team, they raised more money.
Yeah.
I think they were run very differently from us. If you want me to talk shit about them, it's a separate podcast and everything. It still pains me. I left in 2012, 2013, right? It still pains me to this very day that we were sitting on something that could be huge. Like, I kid you not. If we had put bad management, egos, and everything aside, if we had doubled down on events as capital intensive as it was, I am absolutely confident Rise and Web Summit will have zero chance of entering Asia.
Is the general industry in Web 2 still as hot and spicy to bring that kind of traffic or that kind of trajectory that you're thinking about, right?
If you're talking about the period between 2012 to 2016, yes.
Okay, so we're still
100%.
talking about that era, as in
That
like,
era. Like in today's era, no. I think the problem with tech events in today's era is that they struggle they struggle with relevance. Right? They struggle with essentially capturing attention. They struggle with capturing imagination. They are still doing things which they did in 2013. Right? You still have the same things. There's no innovation. There's no focus on attendee experience. You look, yes, things look like prettier now and everything, but if you look at it, it's the same thing again. Speed dating, business matching, investor pitching. It's all the same things.
Yeah.
But if you look at, like, for anybody who's listening to this, who's planning tech events, look at what's happening in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Riyadh, in the Middle East, right? Yes, I mean, these people have some of the top speakers because they got shit tons of money and everything to blow on all these people. But look at the format of their events. Look at the format of how they do content and everything like that. Like, they've taken it one step further with their discussions. And we are still doing how we're doing it in 2013, right? And we're still hoping people care. It's not going to happen.
So you think it's nothing to do with like just the general industry topics that have, I'm not going to say lesser people that are interested, because obviously there's still a huge market as much as we are in the Web3 space as well. But like what's the thing that you see that, you know, the difference of, let's say, a Web3 event and a Web2 event, right? That you perhaps feel that a Web2 event maybe lacks today, that brings around that sort of attention in the Web3 event?
Community. I think one very big difference between Web2 and Web3, community.
Actually, that's a good point, yeah.
Community. Web2 has become a consumer tech show. I mean, I don't say consumer as in everybody's your customer.
Yeah.
Everybody is, it's all about coming, see what's new, talk to people at the booth, and that's it. There's no, they say there's community. What community? There's no community around it.
There's no vested interest, actually.
There's no vested interest. There's no talk about how would you build a community around this entire thing. And they always tend to overcomplicate it. You know, like, I'm going to start my own mobile app. Like, why do you have to?
True.
Okay, put it this way. Imagine this way, right? I'm just going to call it out, right? Imagine TechSauce. Imagine TechSauce started a Discord channel. Right? And you would have like different channels and everything, right? For different type of members, right? It's heavily policed, meaning that you actually moderate the type of conversations and criticism that actually happens. It could be something, because you need that. There's no way you're not drawing data from anywhere.
True.
Right? You're not drawing, you've got, let's be honest, right? As much as people give shit about Web2 is still bigger than Web3.
Yeah, 100%.
By and far. By and far. You talk about payments, you talk about fulfillment, anything is way bigger than crypto. Right? And you're saying that these collective people that have been, and like it or not, if we actually think about it, right? Web2 serves the world now. I don't care whether is it messaging, I don't care whether is it payments or anything like that. Web2 serves our lives. The fact that all of us have a smartphone, almost all of us have a smartphone, we are driven by Web2 adoption, like it or not, right? And I think a lot of people have it at the back of their heads, not in front of them. We have successfully, any of us, even an unsuccessful startup, have been part of that Web2 adoption phase, that internet mobile phase.
Yep.
We have been part of it, right? And you're telling us collectively, people still coming up with new ideas, whether is it neuroscience, whether is it AI, and all these, and you know, the ESG thing, which I think is like we collectively can't come together to create some form of mind share about how we can make the world better.
Yep.
There's enough expertise, human resource, capital to do something.
But do you think
that's what the community is lacking?
But do you think it's ignorance, or do you think it's lack of knowledge?
Both. Definitely both, right? If you're a startup founder who's exited, I don't know, $100 million exit, right? Do you really need to care? Like, how many people really care about knowledge, right? Not many people do.
Because, I mean, there's a lot of Web2 brands that are trying to enter Web3.
Yes.
We have seen that.
Yes.
Right? I won't say every day, but like every month you'll see one brand.
They have somebody, they have either one person or something that's
Starbucks or whatever, right?
Yes.
They're all trying to enter Web3. Do you think it's because of hitting those headlines, or they actually want to and are trying to come into Web3, create that community, create that mindshare, create that incentivized feeling so that, you know, all their stakeholders have a skin in the game as well, right?
Wow.
Because this is why I feel like, you know, we talk about the whole Web3 liquidity side of things. I agree with you, the market is so much bigger in Web2, yet we see people looking at Web3 as a quick pump and dump, make money, get out scheme.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm trying to understand, like, is it what's the problem here in my...
So I said this on a Twitter Spaces once, probably beginning of the year. It was with Amos, Rug Radio, when he used to do that 24-hour podcasting.
Yeah.
I remember because Jacqueline made me wake up at 8 a.m. for it and everything. I was like,
good job, man.
Yeah,
Rug
man.
Radio,
Like
you make
8 a.m., man. I'm never doing it again. Yeah, I literally rolled out of bed and switched on my phone. Let's be realists for a moment. Why would a Web2 or any business look at Web3? Why? Do you think they really care about transparency? Do you think they really care about making things more efficient? No. I mean, like, they can say whatever they want. The answer is no. Because if they wanted to do it, they would have done it already. There's enough tech out there to do it. This is my take. The tech is not perfect, right? But how much effort, and let's just look at it from an infrastructure perspective. How much has your typical billion-dollar corporate really put in on an infrastructure side when it comes to Web3? So now let's not even talk about crypto tokens and everything. Let's just talk about the technology.
Yep.
Let's talk about them doing a deal with Google or Amazon, AWS, or anybody else, you know, for decentralized servers. How much? Like, I'm open to hearing whatever it is. In fact, the biggest clients for all these servers to run different types of blockchains and protocols and everything like that are people from our industry, right? Like the nodes and everything, which some of us run. How much do you have corporate spent, right? So I'm not even talking about the adoption of the technology into the existing products. How much have they invested in infrastructure? Because infrastructure is the backbone of everything in technology.
True.
Right? So I think that's the first thing people don't talk about. Second thing, saying it as it is, companies have to sound innovative. To use a non-Web3 example, I call it in today's world, the NVIDIA narrative. The fact that NVIDIA's stock is doing so well shows you how important, like, in Web3 and crypto, we talk about narratives all the time.
Yep.
The king of narratives are people in traditional businesses. Because the fact is that, like, Grab saying that they are working with Polygon, with Matic, having the Matic wallets and everything like that. Why? Are they experimenting with something? Maybe, half sincerely at best. But at the end of the day, because they are an NYSE traded company, they are also looking for an opportunity to up the stock price.
Yep.
That's one thing. Second thing, And what people don't realize is that on top of that, if I were to get an additional currency into my ecosystem, similar to what Tiffany and Company, Tiff and Co. did with the CryptoPunks,
Yep.
can I increase my balance sheet or my revenues by 5%, 10%, 20%? All these companies are looking for growth. And it's not their fault, but all these companies are looking for growth. Because if I was a business,
Yep.
that's what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for growth. I'll be looking for ways to increase, right, what I'm bringing in. And they are looking, that's how I think they're viewing it in Web3.
Yep.
Right? They are looking at it from like, oh, you know what? This Web3 thing's interesting. Everybody's driving Lamborghinis and living in nice penthouses, right? Maybe they've got money to spend with me.
Yep.
That's the whole point of it.
Too much flex on Twitter.
Too much, yeah,
why don't
correct,
why don't we take that share out of the ecosystem?
Correct. If I mean, like it's not as if LVMH does not use Twitter. Right?
Yeah.
LVMH got an entire team of like, if my best guess, 100 people on social media, right?
I mean, I'm at least sure that every corporate today has employees that are part of Web3.
No, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And that are somehow degens that are bringing back that culture to at least propose or have the conversation in the boardroom, like, how the hell can we be part of this?
Yes, but the thing is that they've not been able to capture. It's been okay. We've been able to capture attention.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, if you go to anybody in the board level, regardless whether they understand the technical details, you tell them about Bitcoin, you tell them about blockchain,
Yeah.
they've at least heard of the term.
Yep.
They've at least know that they can at least tell you it's a decentralized network.
Yeah.
Right? Bitcoin's at least they can tell you Bitcoin's magic internet money.
Yep.
Right? Driven by supply and demand, blah, 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 blah. They can tell you that, right? So they can capture attention. What we've not been able to do is capture imagination. Capture imagination is kind of like how Web 2 has captured imagination, right? One of the best ways, I think, to explain Web 2 is that I can, if you actually think about it, I can input my credit card details into my iPhone securely, double tap the button, stare at it in my face, and pay for coffee. Even if the coffee is $2, or even if the coffee is $200, right? That's capturing imagination, telling people that your phone is your ecosystem. Your phone is. People think of your phone as like an accessory. Your phone's not your accessory anymore. Your phone is you. You are your phone.
Yeah, 100%.
Your phone probably knows more about you than your mother.
Yep.
Right? Like literally. So.
I mean, your
that's
phone is
where-
literally your walking bank, man.
Yes.
Like, we literally have more in our accounts on our phone than our pockets.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's on my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of us, we're wearing Apple Watches and everything like that. Our phone has all our data. How many times we breathe, how many steps we walk and everything like that.
Yep.
Right? Our phones know everything now. And the result of that is because at one point of time, somewhere a few years ago, it was when somebody proposed all of this, it was able to capture imagination. And I think that's where Web3 has been lacking. And on top of that, I think what's been lacking is our ability to show opportunity. We keep talking about mass adoption.
Yep.
We should not be talking about mass adoption.
I agree.
We should not. What the hell is mass adoption? There was a conference that happened a couple of days ago. One of the titles of one of the panels, and they put some seriously OG people on stage, right? And I looked at it and I'm like, what the f-? They were like, where is the 99%? Like they were basically, it was a panel discussion about how to adopt 99% of the people in crypto. And I'm like, that's not the right question. That's not the right. Why are we even talking about that? What we should be talking about is mass opportunity. How are we going to share the opportunities of the Web3? Because Web 2, right, was the same thing as well. We showed people the opportunity. We showed the people the opportunity where you didn't need an office. You needed an internet, 3 laptops, 3 people, and you can build something.
Yep.
Right? Like it showed people opportunity, low cost opportunity.
Yep.
right? And then you had all these ecosystems around it. Like, if you are broke, go to startup events, eat pizza every day. No, I mean, really, if you think about it, because that's how a lot of people survived back in the day.
No, you're absolutely right. I think this whole mass adoption thing, I mean, Web2 took decades until people realized that they were part of this ecosystem.
Yep.
And yet we are trying for accelerating mass adoption Web3 within less than 2 decades.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're barely scratching the surface where even people in the industry don't understand the difference between certain terminologies.
Yes, of
right?
course.
And yet we're asking for mass adoption. I mean, the best way is kind of let gamers do their thing, let financial institutions do their thing, and slowly kind of incorporate that into each ecosystem so that there's a seamless integration whereby there's a new norm that becomes Web3. Because like, I mean, I agree, like everything today when we talk, I mean, you said a good point, like corporates probably understand Bitcoin today, but also they don't understand, like when you say Bitcoin, when they talk about Bitcoin, they quickly think about all the other tokens that's not the actual Bitcoin.
Yep.
Right? Like when they start thinking about price action of meme coins,
Yep.
that is not Bitcoin.
Yep.
I mean, Bitcoin is very different to the rest of crypto.
It is.
Right?
It is.
The whole fundamental is very different.
Yep.
Yet people in the corporate world, I mean, forget about that, man. Even my dad and his friends will still think about like Bitcoin as relate to like charts that you would hear otherwise on news when people make that magic jackpot.
Yes. No, you're right. And this comes from, I don't think it's become a lack of knowledge. I think it comes from a lack of listening. They hear all of this. People just don't want to listen. Why? Because it's so foreign to me. I mean, okay, everybody's got a different reason. Okay, people just are adamant they don't believe in it. They feel that it's. I don't even think it's too volatile. I think the volatile excuse is overused already. I think people are just lazy, and people just feel uncomfortable. It's way out of their comfort zone. They are like this, like it's new to me. It's not foreign exchange. It's not equities. It's not stock. It's not bonds. You know, what exactly is this? It's too aggressive and everything like that. Right?
I mean, I think it's also because they've been burnt.
Actually, yes and no. So the people have been burnt. But also there's this, I would say, I call this the $10 million problem. If you have $10 million, right, or $5 million for that matter, right, and now you think about it, right, a $5 million person is very easy for both of us to sit down here and say, you know what, if a guy's $5 million, right, he's going to take $500K or $1 million and buy Bitcoin, for example, right? Now, if you were a Web2 person and you really had $5 million, would you really buy crypto? Do you really need to buy crypto? No, you're going to sit on $5 million and you're going to make that 8% fixed deposit rate or whatever it is in wherever city you are in the world. That's like, you know, after admin fees and everything like that, that's what? Easily 300 to 400 grand.
Yep.
Right?
It covers your entire annual.
That's the ultimate degen lifestyle expense per year in
Yep.
Bangkok.
True.
Right?
100%.
100%.
Yep.
Not enough. That's more than enough, right? So, you know, you must also understand there's a lack of, there are people. So what you need to look for this group of people, very unique. You're looking for people who have $5 million and have the hunger to make it 50. Right? So that's one thing. The next thing as well is that, and this is where we do the worst job. We do the worst job telling people that you could get into the crypto game for $50. There's no other financial instrument out there. Do you think about it? There's no other financial instrument out there who actually enables you to say, you know what? Start your crypto journey with $50. Like, what else is there out there?
Yeah.
You can't buy anything with $50.
True.
You can't buy any equities or anything with $50. With crypto, you can. Right? And you know what's the worst that can happen? You lose that $50. Does your life end? No.
Yeah.
So I think,
And the best that can happen is $50 turns into
50,000 or whatever, right? Yeah, exactly. But nobody talks about these kind of things. Nobody talks about these very. I was in a bar with Kenny Hong and a few of our friends like 3 weeks ago before we went for Malaysia Blockchain Week, and we were talking to one of the bartenders. One of the bartenders used to be his protege, right? And she was telling us at the bar that she did not buy Bitcoin is because she got no money to buy Bitcoin. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because in her mind,
One Bitcoin.
Yeah. $60,000 US dollars. And she's like, who the f is $60,000?
You're right.
Right? And I'm like, no.
You can buy
50, you can buy a 0.00 something. And she's like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Right? And I just realized that there are a lot of curious people that just don't know. And then you got those kind of people. And the last group of people are the ones nobody talks about. Are the people that just don't like this. You must understand something. Like, it's the same with Web 1, Web 2, everything like that. There's a group of people, I call them the conservative party. Right? They have made money the traditional way. Right? They've done things the traditional way. And they see this as something without merit. Meaning that you're talking about a 22-year-old kid who's never plowed the fields before, buys this random thing and becomes as rich as somebody who spent 15 years.
Yep.
They cannot mentally accept that.
I agree.
They cannot mentally accept that. I mean, we can talk about the crypto bro problem separately, but people cannot. And that's why there is always going to be that barrier of like, what? I spent 30 years of my life to make this much money.
Yeah.
This bunch of kids spend 2 years flipping JPEGs and
sitting behind the computer in their garage and just making this kind of money.
No, I mean, if you think
Crypto's
about,
a scam.
Yeah, crypto's a scam. It's very easy to say crypto's a scam because it goes against everything that they work hard for.
Yeah, I agree. Until they realize you either join them or you get beaten down.
Yeah, correct. Or you just, but what people don't realize is that how a person, each generation, the way they make money is very, very different, right? Gone are the days where you could start a food stall and one day make it into an empire, like Sifa in Bangkok. Those are the days are gone.
Yep.
Those days are gone, right? Unless you get very, very lucky, right? You look at like Web 2 starting a e-commerce company, right? And blowing up. You can just be the king of Thailand, like as in the owning the Thai market, so to speak. And that's good enough, right? No longer.
But Gabe, let me ask you this question before we jump into more of ARC. But
sure.
This is like, sometimes I feel this very much. I feel this very often. The last point that you talked about, like how these bunch of 22-year-old kids, and they come out and they're grinding on Discord and they're just in the trenches, risking whatever they had as a savings, right? And sometimes they hit jackpot, man. I mean,
they do.
There's luck, but there's also that hard work in networking with the right people. And in crypto, network is everything, right?
Yes, it is.
But I guess here's my question to you: would you have, if you had this opportunity, or do you ever have this feeling that if you had this opportunity to go back when you were in your late 20s, or let's say early 20s? Okay, Gabe, everything you said just now makes total sense, right? About this person that does refuse to kind of accept that a 20-year-old kid can make that much money that they've made in maybe 20 years of their life. But I also feel that from the other side as well, right? Because I'm in my early 30s today. I've grinded when I was building my Web 2 business. You're in your late 30s, early 40s.
43.
I was trying to be kind and nice,
no,
man.
43
Okay.
is fine. Yeah. Not very hard to find out.
You're in your early 40s. My big question here is, do you ever sometimes feel like, hey, if I was in crypto maybe like 15 years ago, or if crypto ever existed when I was in my 20s, I would be in a much better position today?
I mean, easy answer to that is always yes, right? I mean, but that's also the same reason I joined the tech industry, startup industry as well, because I was still doing events at the point of time, but I also saw the people around me. They were my age now, right? They were in their 40s. People who were my mentors, people who were my seniors, people who taught me everything about events. And you look at them and they are still doing 12-hour days, 15-hour days and everything. It just came to a point where I was like, I'm going to be doing that till I'm 40s. Yes, I'm respected, I'm senior, I've got a team following me, but like, is that really where I want to see myself 10 years from there? Occurred to me, but let me put it to you this way, right? Web3 did not exist, crypto did not exist back then, but I joined Web2 because I felt that I could make a bigger impact, I could provide more value, and that value is represented by how much I would get paid for what I did. And the fact of the matter was that was probably an acceleration for me because I made more money in doing events in Web2, in the tech industry, than I think some of my peers to this very day in the events industry did. So I can't speak for Web3 because Web3 did not exist. But I can tell you that I made a conscious decision to jump into Web2 because I felt there was more opportunity. There was more money to be made and there was a potential future, right? What was the future? I did not know.
Yep.
Right? Like, at that point of time, the world was a lot smaller for us back then. The natural transition to making bank at that point of time was two things. Join a startup or work for a VC. And
True.
it was the latter I was very targeted towards and everything. And then I found out that that wasn't really as exciting as what people thought it would be and everything.
Wait, so you did that?
I didn't. I mean, I was, again, something I do talk about a lot. One of my best friends in Hong Kong runs a seed fund. It's called Cocoon Ignite Ventures.
Okay.
Funny enough, Cocoon was actually the first ever co-working space in Hong Kong. So I've got this magnetism to like.
So you're still always there in somehow co-working space
and
events.
You know what's the best thing? I became friends with them via a random. And that's the thing in my life.
Random event.
Random conversations from random connections. It was just a friend of mine that was in management consulting. He's like, hey, my friend's family office wants to start investing in tech, but they have zero clue.
And because you were in E27, you were exposed.
By then I was in Tech in Asia. This was like 2014, 2015.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you were already deep in the trenches in the tech ecosystem.
And you know what I did? We had a conversation on Skype. That was how long ago it was. And I was actually, that same week, I was supposed to fly to Tokyo, right? We're going to do a site visit and some meetings and everything like that. I made a conscious decision to actually change my flight. So basically what I did was that I did Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. And I did it because I was like, this guy's pretty interesting. And we're still friends. We're still very good friends to this very day. And I'm like, I think this requires a face-to-face. I literally had a 12-hour layoff in Hong Kong.
Yep.
We chatted. We had dinner and everything. And I continued on. I flew to Tokyo and everything like that.
Yep.
And that's how, fast forward 2019, right? For a while, they just made me a venture partner and everything. So not really what I would have expected and everything like that, but I tried it and I'll be honest with you, I didn't really like it. I think it's a lot harder than people think it is.
Okay.
I think it's not as sexy.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, no, people think that, VCs are very fun. You just sit around.
That's what they think, like this.
Yeah, you just let people come around and everything like that. No. There's a lot of work that goes on. There's so much paperwork and everything that goes on behind the scenes and everything that people actually don't talk about. But back to your point about any regrets and everything like that, I wouldn't say regrets. Everybody has regrets in life.
Yeah.
Right? It's very easy for us to look back and like,
should have,
would have done that. I should have done that. There always is. There always is. Right? Now, that being said, like, yes, there will always be regrets. But despite that is how do you then make the best out of it?
Yeah.
Right? How do you really, really make the best out of it? Like, I've been blessed with a lot of random opportunities. 2009, I didn't even know what startups were. I didn't even know why anybody wanted to do a startups. Right? But the funny thing was that one of the biggest proponents of driving the startup ecosystem in Singapore in 2009 was actually the Singapore University, NUS, National University of Singapore.
Yep.
And they were my clients. And they were the ones who introduced me to E27 because they were trying to do an innovation festival, right? And so that's really how everything started. And it's because of the event I got to know the E27 guys and became friends. And then we started working together and everything.
So in reality, I mean, I agree. And this is what I tell myself as well. Like if I didn't do what I did, I would not be in here because I wouldn't have been able to connect the dots and leverage each opportunity along the way.
Yeah, Steve Jobs says it the best, right? And that graduation speech he did before MIT, I think it was MIT back in the day, right? And he says the dots always connect backwards.
Yeah.
Right? But the fact of the matter is that this is the story of anybody's life, right? Which is you make a choice. Life is always about choices. And sometimes the most random things happen. Yeah. And you have no choice. You just take what is coming at you.
Yep.
Right? And the point is that I think one thing, however, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, Web whatever that goes on forever, is that you need to put yourself out there. I really think you need to put yourself out there. Yeah.
One of the MMA fighters that I was on a panel with on a random event I was there, I said, hey, you know, I felt I was lucky to have exited at the right time. And she said, let me correct you on that actually. You weren't lucky. It was preparation plus opportunities that actually put you in that position.
100%.
And I was like, wow, the way you actually said preparation plus opportunities. Back to what you said. But Gabe, was ARC a random opportunity?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Zero interest in joining ARC.
Okay, before we get there, what the is ARC?
What the is ARC?
Because we hear so many different things and so many different people explain ARC in so many different ways. What is ARC for you?
What is ARC for me?
Yeah.
My own definition of ARC is very, 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 very simple. It's a membership club built out of people that can be trusted. That's all. That's all. Simple as that. People, and by people, I define that as people who serve the crypto industry. When I say serve, means I don't care whether you're a founder, you're an investor, a trader, a builder, an artist, whatever. People who have a vested interest in Web3/crypto, right? And people who I know we can trust to an extent. We just built a membership club around it. Some people like to call it a community because it's a sexier word and everything, but it's just a lifetime membership, right? And that's it. I know it's like people talk about, like, I mean, Elroy, who's one of the founders, he talks about it, we love to co-create and everything. I'm not saying he's wrong, right? I think he has a grand vision about ARC. I see ARC in very, very simple terms, which is it's about creating a circle of trust, right? And with this circle of trust, we can help each other and get better at what we do, and most importantly, grow in this industry. Something Web2 has failed at, if you ask me.
That's a shot, by the way. It's a small cut.
Okay.
Interesting. So membership club, you're right. I mean, it's that in a very simple way, right?
It is.
Anyone who wants to say it's a Soho house of Web3.
It is whatever you want it to. You want to call it
right.
a country club in your pocket, whatever it is.
But at the end, what you said was the key word there was trust.
Yep.
Right. And I want to understand, like, before we go back to like how you stumbled upon ARC or why you chose to work with ARC and what actually made you believe that to join this journey of building this membership, like, I want to understand, like, why does actually no let's go back let's go back to like what convinced you when you got this random opportunity, or like how did you get this random opportunity, and what convinced you that this was something you wanted to put your next X years of your life in building?
I wouldn't say X years. Touching on that first, I take things a year at a time.
Okay.
Right? I'm no man. I don't see further than the next 5 years of my life, I would say. I want to be in a position mentally where the thing is that when you think too far ahead, you tend to lose sight of what you need to do tomorrow.
Yep.
I think that's the most important thing. So that's why I only take things a year by year. All right. Now, this doesn't mean that I will quit or anything like that, right? But that works for me. Some people, Olympians are a very good example, right? Olympians look 4 years into the future. I'm working towards that because that works for them.
Yeah.
Right. And then everything they do in between, if you're like an athlete, right? You look at the Diamond League, you look at the athletic summit that happens every year, blah, 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 blah. But eyes on the prize, where do you look for? You look at 4 years, Olympics, right? We're not running Olympics, right? We've got no World Cup or anything like that to look for. So I think that's something that's very different. Arc was something that fell into my lap, right?
Another random opportunity.
No, it was really a random opportunity. So I was doing another job in 2021. I got to know one of the co-founders, Kiet, all right, through mutual friends and everything. We started talking because he was looking for somebody to fill a role also in crypto, but more sports-centric. We were looking to tokenize a football club which they owned, right, at a point of time. I say owned because they just sold away the ownership of that football club. And our idea was very simple. Instead of trying to raise capital via traditional sense, which is private equity, VCs and everything, could we find a way to raise money similar to a DAO, get more vested ownership in, but at the same time, able to create an ecosystem that allows the value of the club to rise at the same time, right? We saw crypto as a very good opportunity for that. We explored it. Actually, we explored it a lot. Best part of like 4 or 5 months, right? It was half the time was all the very boring stuff people don't talk about: legal, regulatory, money market movements. Was this even kosher in the first place? Now, fast forward, we realized that combination of factors. Number one, I think understanding what fans want, like how you run an organization and how you run, by professionals and how fans want to run a football club in sports is very, very different, right? It's kind of like saying that if you build a super app and yes, you listen to your users, you listen to customer feedback, but you make the decisions on what to roll out and when you roll them out, right? Imagine if your users were the ones dictating what you would do. You would drive, more often than not, you'll drive the company underground, or in worst case scenario, you never get anything done because people can't agree.
True.
People can't agree.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you look at the US elections, right? It's always a 55, 60% swing and everything. That means there's actually 40% of the people that don't want you to be in power at any one point in time. So we tried that for 4 months, didn't work out. I was like, okay, thank you, bye. Right? Arc was something that was being started in parallel with what I was doing. So imagine an office, I'm like, me and a couple of other guys are working on the crypto football thingy. And then there's another whole bunch of guys with Alroy and everybody else trying to figure out this whole Arc thing at the same time. And I told Kit, like, look, this is not going to go anywhere. Let's just call it. Just right? And he was like, no, we made a commitment to you. I actually offered to quit. I said, if you want me to quit, I'll quit. Yeah. Right? And he was like, no, we made a commitment to you. We want to keep you. Why don't you just assimilate yourself in Arc and see how you can help, right? So this was before the whole curation process. This was really just...
So bro, if it wasn't for that commitment, Arc wouldn't be here.
Yeah, but it wasn't like okay, to be honest with you, like Arc was a very different animal at that point of time, right? You're talking about people, they were still trying to figure out what was the best way.
Like they very startup way, like literally building it.
It wasn't even startup, it was would I dare to say it's a mess? You know what, I'll just call it as it is, a mess, right? Who's the one that's making the right decisions? How is the right decisions being made? A lot of it was not validated, I would say correctly. There was a lot of debates about the type of people or the profile of people we wanted
in the community.
Yeah. Right? What makes a good member? Like, it's very easy to say that I have it here, but what exactly makes a good member is a very broad question, right? A lot of it. And I basically took it like, okay, you know what? It's April. Let's give it to end of the year.
So a timeline to actually figure things out and see whether it works out. So being very fair to...
Yeah. I mean, okay, look, again, I'll be very honest as well, which is that that was like the onset of the bear market, right? I had a few offers, but nothing that really, really interests me.
Yep.
I had a couple of offers from, especially the DeFi side of things. There were people who were like, let's chat, let's have a talk about what you want to do and everything like that. But I wasn't very sure at a point of time. So staying at ARC at that point of time, and I'm just saying yes, it is, was a hedge. Was a hedge, right? Bear market, onset of bear market. Subsequently after that, if you remember,
right.
Terra Luna,
Yep.
3AC, and then FTX, all within
The crux.
space, the crux, 2022, right? Everything imploded, right? So I'm also, it was also a case of like, best case, worst case.
Yep.
Worst case, this doesn't work out, just stay at home and do nothing, wait for the markets to recover. You know, I was in my 40s, I probably deserve that.
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, just buy Bitcoin and just, chill,
Degen.
degen and just do nothing.
Yep.
Right? The other alternative was to, you know what? Just stay in ARC, see what happens.
Yep.
See how I can contribute. Use ARC as an opportunity for me to stay connected in the industry. Right? You know what's quite surprising? At the point of time of ARC, a lot of the team were not. You look at the team today, right? And look at the team at the point of time. Not everybody was Web3 centric. Web3 centric, not just from your knowledge,
Mindset.
what you're doing in the space, and most importantly, who do you know in the space?
Right.
There was really, 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 really a lack of that at a point of time. So, one of the first things I did was to just use my connections I've built over the years to try and get them connected with people to hear out, this ARC thing.
And these are Web 2 that have already transitioned to Web 3?
Both. People I know in the crypto space, people who I know who transitioned Web 2 to Web 3 and everything.
I mean, I know who these guys are because they're like the OGs of the...
Like one of my friends, very, very good friend, I shall not name him because he will never want me to say this and name him for it. But you can guess who it is. Basically told me, when he first heard about ARC, it's quite funny. He actually, one of the first things he said was that rich people should just invest in startups and not do startups. Yeah, that was literally what he said. Like after the first phone call he had with the founders, but after I hooked him up, that was like that was what he would WhatsApp me. He was like they should not and everything. And I'm like, look, they've got money, give them a chance to try.
How did Elroy feel about this?
Elroy doesn't know. Okay. What's the point, right?
Yeah,
what's the point of giving these feedback? It doesn't help in any way, right?
Yep.
But the reason why I share it now is that from that in 2022 till now, things have come a long way, right? To get to where it is. And my journey into ARC was really by chance. And I stayed because I was like, why not? It was not because I cared about ARC, right? And don't forget, this is before we started minting. This was before we started onboarding members. To be honest, if you just focus on the start of it, I didn't give a shit about ARC. ARC was just a project, right? I felt no passion about it.
Right.
I felt no reason. And I think it was also partly motivated by the people that were working there at a point of time, as well as the management that they had in place at that point of time, which I was like, guys are just a bunch of fucking idiots. Like, what are they doing?
Dude, your colleagues must be loving you, man. That's why they...
Oh yeah, 100%. No, I'm just saying that. Look, don't get me. I'm not blaming the... Okay, I can't blame the people that were hired at that point of time because they were looking for a job and they got accepted. I always feel that if the people under you don't perform, 50% of the reason is your fault.
Yeah. It's
That
your
means
choice.
It's your management's fault. That means it's 50% my fault for stupidly taking the job.
Yeah.
But the other 50% falls on the people that hired me in the first place.
Correct.
Right?
I
That's why.
agree.
I like even for me to this very, 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 very day, I still feel very strongly about that. If anybody in the business quits or whatever it is, 50% of it is my fault because there is something they wanted I could not give. That I did not build something that could make them stay. The other thing as well is that I could not. I made a mistake. That means you're not good enough, but I still hired you.
So interesting, Gabe. I mean, I do remember the days when you first spoke about ARC, and I mean, I was forced to mint, and I just said, take my 3 ETH. I didn't even join the app. I didn't even know there was an app that existed back then.
Yeah.
But okay, slowly I started understanding what ARC was, and I started understanding what the intentions were, knowing who the kind of people were in the community. But I guess, initial team, initial hypothesis, when was it that you actually felt like this shit's starting to work? Or at what point did you because I'm sure there's been so many, different theses that you guys tested and tried. So I guess there's 2 questions here. What did you think actually worked? Like something that you strongly believed in doing that you think was one of the key success factors of why ARC is where today it is? And then second question is, when was that point? I would like to take a guess, but I'll take it after you say it.
When was it? Actually, it was in my head, but I can't remember it right now because there were so many incidents, I would say. People think that ARC hit a tipping point, like there was a point. No, it was a 3-point massive U-turn on an expressway kind of tipping point. Because so to give you back, to take a step back and everything as well, right? Which is that I spent probably the first 3 to 6 months observing ARC, right? Looking at it and everything like that. However, and then I really realized something, which is that after a while, I realized that there wasn't anything like take out all the what ARC should be and everything. There wasn't come back to what I said earlier, there wasn't a trustable social circle type of thing in our space in Asia, right? I also saw that crypto has grown to a point whereby there are so many verticals now. In the past 2017, 2018, you could be in GameFi and know the other crypto people because it was so small.
Yep.
Now crypto's a lot bigger. The NFT people don't talk to the DeFi people, so on and so forth. I've said this many times. I saw it as an opportunity where sooner or later all these things would congregate and converge together. I came up with my own personal thesis that NFT people will start doing tokens. Token people will start speculating in NFTs, for example. Right? I also speculated that whether is it gaming, social-fi, there will be some form of element of both, right? And because it was on the blockchain, you could stake it, which means that, which is the fundamental thing about earning yield in the space. So it was just about bringing in people who I felt could benefit from this. That was the first thing. Now, one of the things I think that really, really kind of changed things for us is actually not what we did, was actually what the industry did, which was that we came from 2021, 2022 right? And everybody that time was saying that ARK is 3 ETH and when nobody would even pay 0.5 ETH for an NFT.
Right.
Like, what the are these guys doing? And on top of that, not only do I want to take 3 ETH from you, you still have to go through an application process.
Yep.
And people will be like, what the hell is this curation bullshit?
Like, I can't even throw my money and yet get accepted.
Correct, right? Like, most people will be like, I can buy my way into any community anywhere in the world.
Yep.
And yet these guys, right, who are just a startup, right, are expecting money or crypto, and I need their permission to join. What the fuck is this? like literally a lot of people came to us and like, what the fuck is this? This does not make sense.
Yeah.
One of the things that actually helped us was the industry. And when I say was the industry was when NFT started dipping, right? NFT started losing value. People started leaving their communities. At the same time, I think there were a lot of other communities out there. And don't forget, all these communities are, you pay your way in.
Yep.
It means that, and my favorite example is kind of like buying, spending $500,000 or spending $2 million on a CryptoPunk. It's like, if I have the money, I can buy a punk.
Yep.
And I can be the biggest asshole in the world. And you know what? I will still be part of the community. And you know what? You have no choice. There's nothing you can do about it. You want to get me out of the community? Sure. Offer me $4 million for my CryptoPunk.
Yep.
Right? If you really think I'm the biggest asshole in the world, right? And I'm toxic for your community, guess what? You can't do all about it. Right? And that was when, it doesn't, I mean, I don't want to name which NFT communities. I think we know which one I'm talking about. But it's become very, and a lot of people start to realize like, shit, all these communities are toxic and all these people are just here to flip NFTs and grab money and grift and everything like that. And all these people start to realize like, I want to be part of a community. I miss being part of a community, but I can't find one.
Yep.
And then they start to realize to them like, wait a minute, that's why these art guys are doing curation.
Yep.
So that was, I think, one of the tipping points. Subsequently, I think in 2023, we started, actively going to a lot of events.
Yep. A lot of road shows you guys did like.
Yeah, correct. It wasn't just road show, it was just showing up at these events. And, we had 40 members at one point of time showing up. And then we had 50, and then we had 60. And then we all do our own gatherings, and we wouldn't allow people who were not in ARK to be part of it. And all these people would be like, what the hell? Like,
what
why?
The f- is ARK,
who the f- ARK, right? Why were all these people that hang out all the time? And like, what is this thing that all my friends are part of, but I'm not part of?
Yep.
I think it was a combination of factors that got us to where we are today. Subsequently, obviously, we managed to give people opportunities to not just know each other, but access to allocations, access to people you normally would not get. Like this story, I remember, we have a member in Vietnam. His name is Brian. He's Luke's. Luke was the one who introduced him. Luke from Aptos, right? They introduced him. Brian's used to be an Ethereum miner in Saigon, right? And when ARK did our retreat in Da Nang in January, right? This is a Vietnamese guy, right? And you know what he told me? He was like, bro, I've been in crypto since 2018, but this is the first time I met Loy. And for those of you listening who don't know who Loy is the guy that started the first DEX. It's called Kyber Network.
Super OG.
Super fucking OG. Yeah. And you're talking about a Vietnamese guy.
In Vietnam who's never met Loy.
Never met Loy.
And met him through ARK Retreat.
Yes, man, ARK Retreat is like, I never expected one day I will sit down at the same table as Loy. And to me, it's like, why? Loy's like the I mean, he's a bro, but he's like also like, I can call him whatever I want and everything like that. And he's like, yeah, you're friends, but you've opened up your network of friends to everybody else. Suddenly, because everybody has gone through a curation process, even though I'm a nobody, right? That somebody will still at least have a conversation with me because he knows I'm not some random scammer, bullshitter, grifter, whatever you want to call them nowadays. So I think that was really, really the thing that I was like, wow.
Absolutely. It goes back to your first point, right? Trust.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, I mean, it's the same for me as well. I think I shared the story with you. Token 2049 last year
Yes.
was like the tipping point for me when I realized like Arc is a household name. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say Singapore has an edge because the Singaporean is like the
I mean, still because
as
community
big
in
as
Singapore,
yeah.
100%. Yes,
But I
agree.
mean, basically, literally, I went to every event and everyone knew Arc, or at least there was a few Arc members there that people said, "Oh, you're from Arc as well." You know, and today, like, it's funny that we can almost say that we can actually host, as an Arc can actually host an event of its own, which is what Eddie's doing with Forked, and you talk about going to every different event, KBW,
Yep.
Taipei,
Yep.
Malaysia. There's minimum of like 120 members, Arc members that are attending, and at least 30 members that are on the panel.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Thank
Respect.
you. Thank you. No, and I think it's also testament to the quality of the people that we bring in
Yep.
as well. And I think it's also testament to the networks that we have built as well, right? Where us showing up is a testament to the quality of the event. Events are a very big part of our ecosystem. I think it's a cornerstone of our industry, like it or not, when it comes to building attention, thought leadership, and everything. And I think we are blessed. And I don't say this often enough in public. I think we're very blessed. We're very blessed because we have, number one, people who give us 3 ETH, no small amount of money. But isn't it, we're very blessed with people like yourself who are to a certain extent patient with us. This is one thing that if you ask me, for me personally, what was the tipping point? For me was that I realized how many of my friends were in ARC and how many people were patient with us. And I was like, we need to find a way to bring value. I don't know whether you're going to ask this question, but fast forward my journey in ARC a little bit. I had so much friends and networks in ARC at that point of time. And I was like, shit, I need to make this worthwhile. Like, even if
At least make them their money back and more.
Yes, at least make their money back. At least, use the opportunity to connect friends.
Yep.
Right? At least open my friends' eyes to whatever is going on out there.
Yep.
I think one of the things that really, really tipped the scales for me as well was when I also start to realize that, look, not only do we need to bring value to our members, but was when something which I was thinking like, how can we make this community? I started thinking, like, since I'm stuck here, right, what should I do? What should I do to bring more value to the members?
Yep.
Right? And to my friends, right? What is it they want? Since I'm here, might as well just make the best use of my time. I'm getting paid anyway. And I started telling the team, this starting, this new team, that was slowly transitioning in as well, starting with Keen, for example.
MVP.
Yeah, like, honestly, Keen's a MVP.
Yep.
And one of the things that I started telling the team, every meeting we have is about one thing. The first thing we ask ourselves, how are we helping our members make their 3 ETH back? Not in the form of alpha, investment syndicates, whitelist and everything. Those are great. Everything which we do, we need to make them feel this is worth 3 ETH.
Yeah.
That's something that I think that really changed for us. Where, yes, you've given me the capital to build the business, but how can I help you, either get the money back intangibly or tangibly? That was really one of the most important conversations which we always used to have. Nothing else mattered. Like, leading up to our main close, I know our main close in March and then reopened again first. It's going to reopen again in 15 August, right? This year, 2024. But in that period of time, that was what this conversation was. Every single conversation.
Interesting. And I know for a fact that a lot of people have somehow, like you said, making money through the community of all the alphas, whatever, that's how deep you are in it, how deep and active you are in the trenches, right? Because, there's always opportunity that are being shared there.
Yep.
I'm just curious to understand, what have you seen from some people that has been kind of the intangible way? Because I've spoken to a lot of ARC members myself who have said, bro, the fact that I feel safe in the community and the friends, the quality of friends that have had is already worth more than 3 ETH for me. Like they're not even thinking from the monetary value anymore. It's just the emotions, right? Because the fact that they feel so trusted and warm and safe, and the fact they can talk to anyone, like you said, like talk to anyone that they would have not otherwise been able to talk to, right?
I think it's not just about, it's about giving value. Value was the first thing. Second thing was pride.
Pride. Okay.
Yeah.
How so?
Memeland was a very good example.
Okay. Yep.
The fact that we were the only community on a cap table. Now that you look back at it, right? It's been nearly a year. Don't you feel proud about it?
Biggest win.
Yeah, biggest win.
Biggest
right? Even though markets are down now.
Yep.
And everything.
Still actually one of the most profitable pre-sales.
Yes, correct. But not just because it's profitable. The fact that we could get it.
Yep.
The fact that like it gives pride. It gives it's like, you know why people want exclusivity? Because it feeds the pride, the ego, whatever it is that people feel at that point of time. That was the next thing that we wanted to give people. It's like the shabu place Hai Di Lao in Singapore.
Yep.
Having the ability, nobody else has the ability in crypto. I can call a number and tell the person that I've got 100 people coming next week, right? Clear off the place for me. Don't bring in customers. I dare anybody in token to try and do that. Good fuck to you, right? Stuff like that.
Flex.
It's a flex. But it's pride. When people know these kind of things, it's pride. Or even us here in Bangkok, able to go to JO, for example. Right? Being able to book a table and just walk in. Like,
and not just a table for 25 people.
Oh yeah.
And while everyone else is fucking waiting outside.
Exactly. like people don't see these kind of things. Like having the ability to gain access, right? Or even having people like one of my best friends, I love him to death, Darius from QCP. Right? As much as he always, he doesn't say this publicly, but like he always whines like, my God, you need me to do audio room for 1 hour. You look at him. Actually, look at him. Look at his transition. He never minted an NFT before. He minted ARC just to support me. You fast forward to today. We are potentially doing business together, meaning ARC and QCP. We have him posting. We have him posting on the ARC app.
Everyone looks forward to it now.
Yeah, right? He does his QCP broadcast. Even though he's got his own Telegram chat, he posts in the ARC app every day. That's evolution.
And now we have
a new thing.
A new thing
potentially coming up. Right? So all these kind of things are just testament that how the community has evolved. And how somehow or rather, and actually, you know what? One of your Wizard Capital members, right? Our dear friend, Yiming. Back in the day, what Yiming said about ARC and everything, which I still give him shit about to this very day. He's like, oh, this ARC, man, is all just NFT people. Right? And now he looks at it, right? And he's like, hey, there's actually some very, very good people. He starts coming to the meetups, to the events and everything as well.
He's actually a good example to talk about how there's a certain group of people that are never active on chats. But the minute you meet them through any ARC event, it's like you get so much value.
Oh yes,
so much value, and like there's so many talented people. I don't know, man. This is just my feeling. Like I still feel like, and sometimes this is how I try to crack my brains. And we've had several conversations about this. It's getting much better though. It's like I still feel there's like a large amount of people in ARC that today maybe no one has heard from, but are the heavyweights or like the OGs of the OGs in the space that we have not been able to interact with. But I'm pretty sure that at some point, if I went up to them and be like, hey bro, I'm an ARC member, or hey, I'm an ARC member and I know you're an ARC member as well, that conversation will just start like this. Like he will not be like, bro, what,
let me give you an example of somebody who's super unfriendly and very introverted. Right? The founder of Etherscan, Matthew.
Okay.
Right? Matthew also is a very old friend, right? Joined ARC right? He felt that it's a very interesting community, right? Partly because he came to our first ARC. So ARC does the annual party, right?
Yeah.
During F1.
The annual party.
The annual party. We did it on 17 September.
Yeah.
We did it, F1. So
Yeah.
F1 period, 2022, right? Around the time FTX crashed. So a lot of people actually don't know this story. Yusho, who's the founder of CoinHarko, also another dear friend, invited Matt to our party.
Right.
And he was the one who told me, like, can I invite Matt? I was like, fuck, of course, yes, sure.
Yeah.
No problem. Like I don't think it's Matt's type of scene.
Yep.
But please do. Matt was one of the people who actually came for the event. And after that, we invited to Mint, Arc Stellar just quietly did it. He didn't even tell me. He just quietly did it.
Yep.
And that's it, right? And you talk about like introverted people who are not very active. Let me give you an example. Last week, we were at Malaysia Blockchain Week.
Right.
Matt was on stage. Joan, Pei Kai, all these people were doing speaker interviews. They approached him and they were like, Matt, can you come with us for a minute? We want to do a very quick 15-minute interview.
Yep.
Matt's always like this. Matt's like, no, I don't do interviews.
Yeah.
I refuse to do interviews. Joan just literally told him that
I'm an ARC member.
we're an ARC member.
Yeah.
Like, can you please do this for us, please? You know? And he's like, oh, you guys are in ARC. Okay, I'll do it.
There you go, man.
It's like, it doesn't seem like anything.
Yep.
But let me tell you, I've known Matt for years.
Yeah.
And he is introvert as
Yeah.
He's a coder. He just wants to keep like
Building shit and just do shit. Yeah.
and doing things like that, you know. Like, yeah. And him being like just saying yes because it's art. I mean, to me, it shows how much respect these people have for our brand today, which again, we're very blessed for.
I think there's several examples we can all talk about.
Oh, there are so many examples.
So many. I have personally so many as well. Like I can tell you that my journey in Web3 literally accelerated after
we converted Open the Fridge from a NFT guy to a GameFi token GTM guy, really, and everything like that, man. Like,
No, I agree, man. I think a large part of business capital wouldn't be here if it wasn't for ARC.
Yeah.
That much I can say.
Thank you.
But hey, I mean, you know, for me, I guess the interesting part is more on like what's next for ARC, right?
Ooh.
Because so what was very interesting for me, and this is a personal opinion, I think a lot of people resonate with me as well from what I've spoken to like Stellas here. So that whole mint acceleration from, you know, trying to say closing the mint and then having people FOMO in, literally all of a sudden, 3ETH was nothing. Because like we had, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't even want to ask what the number of applicants were.
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
Eventually you kind of took like 300-ish on the last stretch before the last close that we had.
Almost 200, almost 300 in the last 3 weeks, yes.
300 in the last 3
So
weeks.
we went through like probably like re-applications. That one I don't count, but new applications, thousands.
Wow.
Thousands.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Now, question is, you have finally...
You know what was the annoying thing? The annoying thing, actually, just very quick one. The annoying thing was, not say annoying, but like the happy problem was literally the number of sellers that were DMing us like, bro, my friend used the referral code. Have you looked at it yet?
Yeah.
This is the application. Can you please tell me if it's not good enough? I will go and tell him and to go and reapply again and everything and whatever. And like, calm down. We're not at your page yet.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah. Bro, I remember I was WhatsApping you so many of these.
Everybody was. And like, no, you're absolutely right. Suddenly everybody. So my theory at that point of time was that, and I said this to the team in a couple of years ago, people have 3ETH. People have 3ETH. What we failed to do in the beginning was to amplify the value, was to really tell people why this is 3ETH. What exactly was the value? Like, I mean, I don't know whether you recall, last year we had a lot of Twitter threads about the kind of value, the kind of experiences, even you yourself have experienced and everything, and showcasing the members and everything.
Yep.
Like, hats off, man. Like, Joey did a lot of that work, but Joey didn't have the best time of his life. I was driving him up the wall. I'm surprised he didn't quit after buying all that soul and everything. But I literally was like, like I literally told him like, you're my social media manager.
Yep.
Your job is to amplify what we're doing. And I just told him like, you're doing a shit job, right? In not very polite terms, right? And I told that to as well. And I literally drove them. I'm like, we got to do this.
Yeah.
We got to do this, right? And I don't care whether it's on brand, off brand, whatever it is, we got to flex. We got to let people know the value we need. And the reason why we did it was not just value. It comes back down to the next thing, pride. Because I knew that if we did it, people have pride. That's the thing. The thing about ARC, right? And as much as people throw shit at us for being, I think there's some people who call us elite, like elitism and everything like that. You know what? I don't give a right? I don't care whether you think we're snobbish, you think we're elites or whatever it is. Cabal. So mafia, my favorite
Mafia.
term. The mafia. I don't care.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Absolutely it is. And if you're not part of it, tough shit.
Yep.
You were given an opportunity and you didn't want to do it. And now the opportunity has passed you by. Tough shit.
Become a sideliner.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. And look, but ARC isn't for everybody. I always tell people ARC isn't for everybody, right? There are people who come in thinking that, this is the ultimate alpha group. I'm gonna get. My 10,000 will become 100,000 in 2 weeks.
Yep. I agree. That's the number one thing I told my fellow friends who joined ARC was like, bro, if you're doing it to expect that you pay 3 ETH and you're gonna get 6 ETH like by the next 2 days or 2 months, don't do it. And don't do it don't expect value without giving value. Because I think everyone in ARC today somehow strives to, the whole gamification with keystones and everything has now become way more clearer. We're seeing many people that are more active in some form or the other. But I think the people that have benefited most from ARC are the people that have given most to ARC as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you raised a very good point. Kevin Lin, ex-founder of Twitch, is actually another member who's not very active, right? He was the first one to say it. I still remember where he said it. 2022, December, Taipei. We were in Bitsy's Henry's private lounge in Taipei. And he was standing at one corner of the room. And this is exactly what he says. He says successful communities have a give and get culture.
Yep.
Right? It's like you give something, then you get something.
Yep.
Right? But if you do get something, you better be willing to give.
To give back.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the... He said this in front of, we had 30, 40 people at Taipei Blockchain Week when he first started in 2022 by chance. Actually, as a side note, that's how we started all this traveling to events thing. We never planned it. It really just happened. The ARC app just started at a point of time. And we literally just put the word out like, I'm going to Taipei. Anybody wants to go? 5 people said yes, then 10, then 20. And next thing you know, people just FOMOed in.
Disclaimer, I think Gabe always lures people in by giving the best food spots and we're going there.
Yeah,
and
correct.
everyone just ends up
everyone
going.
just goes, right? And
a hot pot culture.
Yeah, and everybody's like, hey, you know what? Like our friends are going. Why are you not going? And then they start foaming each other. And
it just
happens. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is something here. There's something happening here. Right? So I think we're blessed. Yeah.
Gabe, what's the next big thing for ARC?
Wow. Okay, short term.
I'm not going to ask you 3 years because I know we all hate that question. And crypto, 3 years, bro. Let's not talk about that.
Are we still alive 3 years from now? Man, it's going to be Web5 in 3 years from now. Short term, reopening the mint.
Okay.
That's happening 15 August. We're going to start listing people. And then starting 2nd September, we'll start listing. You get to mint. We've got about 850 members right now. We're going to close it at 888.
Oh, wow. So there's only 38 members you're actually allowing.
Yeah. So super strict, super curated, bringing in all these people. 888 is a very, it's a Chinese thing, right? We wanted to end it at 900, but 888 just sounds more opportune and everything. That's one thing. I think in the midterm, you will see us start developing products that are useful to members, right? one I can definitely reveal is the desktop version of the mobile app is almost completed.
Finally,
That means-
bro.
Finally. If it works, I am destroying all our Telegram chats. Right?
I think
Everything's-
that
yeah.
good first step. Yep.
Yeah. So that's one thing. We're going to be building and experimenting with you. I think what people don't realize about Arc behind the scenes is that we actually try various experiments. Even us doing allocations, whitelists were all experiments. We never knew how well they would be welcomed.
Yep.
We will try these kind of things. It's always about bringing value to the members, giving them access to things they normally can't get. So we're going to be building a couple of products. We're going to be pilot testing them in the next couple of months. Would love to have done them sooner, but markets aren't exactly helping us. So we've put things on pause for a little bit. That's the midterm. As long as the midterm as well, we will, and people by the time this is published will know that we have successfully closed the fundraise round. We're happy to share a little bit more about that. Or midterm, we're also going to be very busy hiring.
Okay. More team
how-
members.
Yeah. So the thing is that why are we hiring is because we realize that we are stretched. We need more hands on deck.
Yep.
We need more help. We need more expertise, right? I'm very keen on hiring people with the right type of potential. And when I say right type of potential, it means people who even have the ability to do my job in the future, right? I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't do enough, which is that I tell this to my guys all the time as a side note. As long as you're in ARC, your goal should be to be better than me. That should be your ultimate goal.
So that's what good leaders do, right?
I mean, what if one day I decide not to do this, right? Somebody's got to do it, right? That's the reality.
All I can say is that a lot of people are going to be disappointed if the man with hat is not there doing what he does.
I don't know, man. Kid holds his purse strings. You can tell him that. I mean, look. There's no reason. I will say this publicly, right? As much as I shit about this and everything, there is no reason for me to leave yet. How long that statement remains true really depends on everything that happens.
Yep.
Right? That's how I say it. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, right? There's obviously going to be things that will move the needle. Right? At the end of the day, I'm still a man with ambition. I'm still a man with dreams. If Liverpool were to start a Web3 department, they want me to lead it, I'm like...
Resignation.
I'm like, no resignation, man. I'm just sending out a f***ing WhatsApp. And like, I'm gone.
So guys, that was the ARC community. That was Gabe, who has, as always, as I said in the beginning, controversial, super candid.
No, I've not said anything controversial.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. I mean, if you see this man on stages and panels, he is the man that will create some sort of controversial statement that the moderator will always have to go back thinking deep on, like, why did I even ask that question? This is Gabe for you guys. And for all of you guys that have not checked out ARC, if you are lucky enough to be that 38 people, if you even pass the application, good luck. If not, remain being a sideliner and checking out what the ARC will keep developing.
Or we just find a way to include more people some way, somehow in the near future.
And we can always work together in different ways, just not like being part of ARC, but we always partner with other different entities or people.
That could be a way where more people can participate in ARC's ecosystem. You never know.
Is that a hint on what's happening post fundraising?
That is not a hint. That is a consideration.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Until the next episode.
Thank you.